we are back on it. Welcome back to Russ Auto Garage and the $5,000 budget build 56 Chevy pickup. Another day off. Get back on the bed of this thing. I feel like I have more hours in the bed than doing the LS swap. So next things, we're going to make the lift up door for the bed, and I also need to do the battery box. If you haven't noticed, the battery is not up front in the truck in the engine compartment. I don't like it in the engine compartment on trucks, depending on the layout. And on this truck, it used to be on the firewall from the factory, which I definitely didn't want to do again. And I'd rather have it hidden anyway. So one neat thing I like to do when I build pickup trucks is get a little creative, if at all, with the battery area and some storage, so you have some place to throw some ratchet straps and stuff like that in a pickup truck. And what I'm going to use in this case is that box right there. So one part of the reason I love building these patina type vehicles is you can be a little creative. Now, I am far from an artist. That is definitely not the case. But there are things, details you can do that are just fun and set the vehicle apart from others. I said some people don't get it. They say the truck needs to be painted. Building a patina rod is because you're lazy. And to that I say, well, if you think I'm lazy, you haven't watched me build anything. And what's great about leaving the trucks or a vehicle as you find them is it's the only one like it. You'll never see another one. So this is what I'm going to use for my battery box and also some storage in the back. And it's an unknown, box, storage, luggage, whatever. It's got latches, but what was cool about this one too is it actually came with a key, and it's a little skeleton key, which is pretty cool. And it works. And it works good. So this is not too big of a box. I already drilled some holes in it. You can see I cheated and I moved ahead a little bit, but I wanted to make sure everything was gonna fit like I thought it would, and it's gonna be just fine. So let me show you what that looks like and what I'm gonna do with it. All right, so the box is gonna sit pretty much like that. I've already drilled some holes through it, down through the metal strips, so the bolts are going through metal. And then I also cut some pieces of strap out of scrap metal. Those are going to lay on the inside of the box, and the bolts will go through those. And I also made my battery box. And this is, again, made out of scraps. That's all cut from a bed frame. I said I bought a $10 bed frame off of Marketplace. It's a good source for angle iron, but one thing with this stuff, most bed frames are hardened steel, so they're not easy to drill through. If you're going to drill through them, it's easier to use a plasma cutter to cut the holes, because you will burn up some drill bits. And then this is just a top piece to go across the battery, a couple pieces of threaded rod, and it's all going to mount like that. And I'll get some hardware and drop it in and show you how it's going to go. All right, so let's mount this box. And one reason I chose this one, not only because of how it looked, was the dimensions. I'm not sure what I'm going to do as far as spare tire on this truck yet. I don't know if I'm going to find a fender that will accept a spare tire on the outside of the bed, or modify that fender, or what, or maybe keep the tire in here. I don't know, but this box is narrow enough where, for now anyway, I can roll a spare tire in next to the box and it clears. So I can make an inside mount if I want, when I decide. But we're just going to get this mounted. I already figured out where I could put it, where the lid will open enough. It'd be nice to get it closer to the back of the bed, but it's okay. So even though this box has a metal pretty much perimeter around it, I put these straps on the inside, and these just help sandwich it to the truck And then underneath, I'm going to do a similar thing. With all the bolts coming through underneath the wood, I'm going to put a piece of band metal under there as well and bolt that up so it just kind of ties everything together. It's mostly just to make sure this thing cannot move, and because the battery is going to be in there, you know, I want the battery not to be able to move or to come out if anything ever happened. It's going to be rigidly mounted. So I made this battery tray, and it looks like the paint's still not dry. And this will lay in here like that, or should. I go the right way? Nope. See? I made it and I don't even know which way it goes. Go this way. Yeah, that's better. All right. So that's going to sit in there like that. And then I'm going to use 8 carriage bolts to hold this thing all down through the floor, including 4 of them that go right through the actual battery tray itself. So we'll put all those in. And then I think we'll be going underneath the truck. Well, I am trying to install this piece of strapped metal here I've got. Not easy from under here with the camera right there, but you can see what I'm doing. It's basically just a scrap piece of steel. Get some more hardware here. That's just underneath, tying it all together. And we'll put fender washers on and flat washers on and lock washers, if I can get it in my hand here. And you can see it's just a ton of hardware under this bed. Go over that, all that on the budget, but I think I had about $75 in hardware just to put this together. So get the last two, band pieces under here rather for the other side, and that'll be done. All right, straps are all in there. Good to go. So now that box is cranked down in there nice. All good. And you can see all the ridiculous amount of hardware it takes to put one of these beds together. Lots of bolts. I think I bought 100 of everything, and I am just about out. Just a quick look inside. There's all the carriage bolts. Everything's bolted down. Battery tray is all solidly mounted, so nothing's going to go anywhere. And again, this is just made out of angle iron. A couple square nuts from Unistrut. If you've ever played with Unistrut before, it's like a erector set for adults. You can make anything out of it. And those are a couple Unistrut nuts welded there. And all I have left to do before the battery goes in, I got to drill some holes for the battery cables. I figure I'll put one there for the positive and over here for the negative. And the battery cables will be on this side of the battery, because this side I think would be too tight unless I eventually switch to top post. But right now I'm using side post because that's the battery I have. But if I put the holes at least in here, it doesn't matter. I could always change to something else if I want in the future. But get those holes drilled and move to the next step. All right, this part of the project almost done. Drilled holes for the cables. You can see I drilled them pretty big, about 1 inch. And that is so I could put a piece of 3/4 inch heater hose in those holes as a grommet, I guess you could say, full length grommet for the battery cables to go through. And I just stuck them through some big washers to keep them from falling down the hole. If I made the hole a little smaller, the heater hose would have wedged in there, but that works. And that is big enough for the battery cables to get through and get up to the battery. So get the battery mounted see how it all works. All right, let's see how this all goes. And hopefully you're not shaking too much. The truck's moving around because I'm moving into bed, so the battery in. And I'm going to put in the threaded rod first. So I got a couple pieces of threaded rod here. See if that's the right height. I gotta have them stick up higher than the battery a little bit. Let's see. I'm gonna bring that up some more. Let's see. Try that. There's a nut on here to lock it down. See how that is. That looks good for height. Let's see, do I have enough length? Yep, I got enough length on my battery cable to make it over here. So that's good. That'll work. And we got the second threaded rod here. You can get this finished up, and that'll be one less thing on the list. There's always a little something to do. All right. That, and lock that down. And we got this guy. This is going to go over. Let's see. That. Okay. Good. Flat washers. Forgot my lock washers. Go grab some lock washers. All right, got my lock washers. Got the nuts. Uh-oh, I got a bad nut here. What we got? That is it. That's not going anywhere. Still one more thing to do while you're shaking all over the place. I fed the negative battery cable through the floor, so I got to attach it to the frame. Because if you remember, I have a heavy ground from the engine block to the frame. So the frame can come to the battery. That'll work fine as the ground. And of course, the cab is also grounded to the frame. So that would be it for the grounds. So get it up in the air again, attach that cable, and be able to start it up. I've got a 3/8 bolt welded to the frame underneath, so it's an absolute solid connection. Ground cable's going to that. Should be good to go. That is good. All right, now that that's done, next thing will be flip up door for the back of the bed, and then that's be it for inside of here. All right, it's a new day. It's a little warmer out, so I can take my flannel off for the first time in months, but it's not that warm. It may be going back on, but we'll see. So I got to get this door made here, and I've got the last pieces of the bed frame that I used to make the perimeter. Now I got to build a door. I've got hinges, and I bought a piano hinge to use, and I wasn't quite sure if it was going to be strong enough because it's kind of supposed to be heavy duty, but it's kind of flimsy. So I bought some of these, kind of like a Gothic style hinge that would bolt on top, and that may be better, might be stronger. I don't know. It's not like this thing's going to be getting opened up all the time. It's just going to be an access door. And 99% of the time, it's just going to be closed in part of the bed. So we'll figure it out when I get to that point. First thing I got to do is build a frame, and I'll keep it probably, I don't know, 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch smaller than the opening, so it has plenty of room to move and no issues. So, cut some steel. All right, we got a frame. All right, so I got a frame, but the next thing I have to do is I've got to trim down the edges. They're too high, and when this is done, it's supposed to look like the rest of the floor, so the boards have to sit in here and be at the same height as the other boards. So I just ran around with a marker and drew a line on all the sides, and I got to trim these down shorter. Okay, so I had to take a break for a while, a few hours actually, and I'm back out here, and flannel's back on. It's cold, and I've been working on the wood for this and figuring this out, and I had to get the planer out. Yep. I didn't think I'd be using it, but it's out. But I'm still not going to get the stain off the wood. I'm leaving it like it is. But I'm looking at the way I made this frame, and originally I was going to have these black pieces kind of tilt up with it, so they would lift up with it, but it may be a problem. And I'm thinking maybe now those are going to be permanent, and I just cut the frame along that line and just the wood comes up with it. That may work out better. I think I'm going to do that, and just going to have to see what happens here. All right, playing down the last two boards. They're going to go in like that. These will get cut down. put in there. No, it's going to look okay. It's going to be obvious that there's a door there. You know, it's not going to blend in perfectly, but I have another thing that would make that invisible, which may happen. I'll have to see. It's something I've done with my other pickup trucks, but we'll get to that later. So right now, I got to put a couple more braces across the bottom of the frame, trim the edges of the frame so it can slide up and down, and then I'm going to try to assemble it all as a door and then put it on the truck. Holy smokes. Oh. You know how many hours I have in this stupid thing? This is just a door. I mean, it's just a cover now. I don't have hinges on or anything, but holy smokes. I didn't obviously video a whole lot of it because I've just been cranking for the last, I don't know, hour and a half. I did not expect, look at my hair. I did not expect this to take this long. Wow. Okay, well, it's starting to get cold. It's working at least. I still have to paint, you know, the metal and stuff, but it's gonna fit. It's gonna sit in there. I gotta put a handle on it or whatever so it can be lifted out and put the hinges on, but it's gonna sit in there, and then the pieces that I cut, which turns out I didn't have to cut, but I'm gonna reinstall those on the sides like that. So the only real seam that'll be real obvious would be up top. And I don't know if I should put any hinges on it and just make it so you lift it out and it bolts in, or put it on hinges, or I don't know. But I am going to sleep on it because I've had enough for today. Because I didn't just work on this. I've been doing other stuff as well, as usual. But I want to get this finished before I have to go back to work, because I'm not going to have any days off for a little bit. So we got to get this finished and get this done, and I can move on to the next thing. All right, it's another day. It's bright. I have the door open. It's beautiful out today, which is awesome. All right, so after sleeping on this, I've decided to default to KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Which I have a hard time sometimes remembering. But no hinges. I'm just going to make this so it bolts down to the bed with a couple handles to lift it out if you had to get under it. And that's it. Because if I put hinges on it, they're going to stick up. They're probably going to get damaged if I ever, you know, put anything heavy in here or mess with it. And yeah, it's a truck. I use them like trucks. So rather than do that, I think removable without a hinge is just as good. It's going to be out of there, hopefully never. I mean, the only reason you're taking it out is to change fuel pump. So I'm going to make it bolt in, and yeah. So let's drill some holes, make some mounting tabs, put some handles on it so it's easy removable, and wrap this thing up. All right, so before I mount this down permanent, I think I'll put some handles on it. I have some flush mount handles here. You can get off Amazon. And I'll mount those in the door so at least it can come up and out. The bolts I have coming are kind of like a button head socket cap screw type screw. Again, coming from Amazon. They'll be here today. So first thing I'm going to do is put these handles in, and then maybe we'll drill the holes, make the tabs for the bolts. chiseling out the holes for the handles. First handle installed. Wood chips everywhere. See, that just flips up like that. You can grab them. I'll put one on the other side. I'm not going to show you the rough hole because that's something where the construction guys will be like, get some plywood over that before somebody sees it, will you? So I'll do the next one. And what you can't see won't hurt you. I'm just messing with you. It's not that bad. You know, plus you can't put plywood in here anyway. Well, you could, but I'm not going to. Whee! So that's the first rough hole. Then I'll just drop the handle in like that, trace it, trim out around it, and yeah, then it'll sit flush like that one. That is it for the handles. Broom swept. So, you know, construction contract complete. Flip the handles up, pick it right up. It's going to work perfect. Still got to paint this thing. At least, rather, the metal I want to paint. But not until we get the bolts to hold it down. Figure, I don't know, 4 bolts each corner. Look at it and figure it out. All right, here's what I ended up with. Drilled holes. And I used some of leftover front end hardware. The little snap clips there, body clips. So we got 4 corners set. Touched up the paint. These notches are for the bolts on the straps. So you have to have notches there. And I filled in the other, there were some rust holes there. That's all fixed. And to hold it down, I got these button head cap screws. And I think they are just long enough to work, but they will work. And it gave it an Allen key. I think that's probably a 4 mil. So I'll end up making a T-handle or something, or getting a T-handle and leaving it in the truck as a tool. So all that's left to do is set the door back on, bolt it down, see what it looks like. All right, time to button this up. Maybe for the last time for a while. Let's see. Paint is still wet on this. Hold on here. There it goes. I painted the back of this just to seal the wood. Let's see how we do here. This is gonna hopefully fit in there like that. And then we've got some washers and our button head screws here. Let's see. So far so good. Am I missing a washer? Probably laying right where I can't see it. Grab another washer. Well, I tell you, I bought 100 of everything for hardware, and I needed every bit of it. Let's see. Get these tight, and that will be all 4. Let's see. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. So those are all tight. They're all below surface. We got a complete bed floor. Finished. Final look. What do you think? I'm curious. When I said I was going to do this, did you think it was a waste of time, or did you think it was going to look stupid? Or, you know, I didn't know what to think when I started on the bed. I had no idea what it would be when it was done. I mean, just, you know, you try things, have some fun with it. There are no rules. And I think it actually looks pretty good. I think it fits the truck pretty well. I'm actually glad I didn't plane the stain off of the boards. And they'll wear more as time goes on, but I think it looks pretty cool. I think it matches the truck. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. Before I end this video, now that the bed is just about done, other than taillights and such, let's go over the budget. All right, let's finish this one off. Let's talk about the budget, which we have not talked about in quite a while. So, the last things that were done on the truck, but when we last talked about the budget, was I finished up the e-brake, and we were getting into the interiors, so I went through that mess with the carpet and had to send it back. Got a cheaper carpet that we'll revisit later. So that was the last time we were here. Since then, did all this bed work, and we did the flip-top gas cap. So what I did was I just broke that down into two separate things here, because otherwise I'm going to run out of lines on my main, budget board here. So for the Jaguar gas filler cap, 4 items for that. The actual cap itself, the filler tube, the gas filler hose that went to the tank, and then the coupler that went at the top up at the actual gas cap. Now the gas cap itself, I put a value of $50 on that. If you had to buy one complete with the sheet metal, I actually looked on eBay, and some are less, some are more, but I didn't see any where they're actually cut them out of the car nicely and sold the metal with them. Everybody's selling just the cap, and most people want $40, $50, up to over $100 for one of those things, which seems crazy. I would go to the junkyard and get one and make sure you get the metal with it. But like I said, I valued it at $50. My cost $0. That came from the parts car that gave up the suspension that's in the truck, the front suspension. The gas filler tube, I put a value of $5 on that and a cost of $0, because once again, that was actually an XJ6 tailpipe, probably came from the car, again, that gave up the front suspension, because that car, all the exhaust was removed when I bought it. It was in the trunk in boxes, so I probably just threw it in my tubing drawer. The gas filler hose that I had to buy that went on the tank, that was $15 from Amazon. Value $15, cost me $15. And then the coupler at the top was $5. Again, Amazon, value $15, cost me $15. So when I add in the items for the gas flip top, that brings the truck value to $7,669. My out-of-pocket cost, $3,975. Now let's go over everything for the bed. All right, so the bed, even though this bed itself was basically free because it came from the parts truck that was worth much more than just that, of course I had to do a lot of work to it to get it to be usable. Things that were on the list to do this: the actual wood in the floor, these metal strips between the boards, the hardware holding the whole thing together, the trunk at the front of the bed, the angle iron that I used to make all the frame for like this removable door and the outline around it, the bed liner that I painted on the inside, and I think that's everything. So as far as those numbers go, the actual bed wood, I put a value of $20. I mean, would you pay more for a pile of used wood? I don't think so. My cost was $0. Like I said, this all came from a pool deck that somebody gave me for free. They said, take it down, you can have it. And I wanted all the pressure-treated structural wood. This was just extra. So I have enough to do a couple more trucks at least. So that was free. I used bed pads. I didn't mention that. I cut rubber squares that go on the frame underneath the cross members as insulators. That is cut out of, I mentioned it before, that I used on radiator support. It's like a conveyor belt type material that guys at the swap meet sell for like next to nothing, big chunks of it. So I save it and cut it into these things. I put the value at $5 and the cost of $5. These are actual metal divider strips that I'm using between these wood pieces. Now, I looked this up, and to buy a set of just bare steel strips is about $100. So I put a value of $100. Now my cost, I don't know. I put $40. I bought these at a swap meet so many years ago that I have no clue what I paid. I probably only paid $25, but I put a value of $40. The trunk up front that I'm using for the battery box and storage, that was $20 off Marketplace. So value $20, cost $20. The angle iron, that I used for this frame and foundation, I should say, and support around it. That's a bed frame. I bought that off of Marketplace for 10 bucks. Bed frames are great for angle iron. The only problem with them is they are hardened steel. So if you're going to drill holes in them, it's not the best stuff to use. Now, I have a Vevor drill sharpener. I have the model 13A. That thing is worth its weight in gold. Let me tell you, I don't, normally, talk up tools or something. But that Vevor drill sharpener is a beast. That thing is fantastic. That will sharpen bits to the point where they just tear it up. I mean, it's really good. So using that, I was able to drill through that hardened steel to make bolt holes and such. Otherwise, you're going to need to use a plasma cutter for that kind of stuff. Last two things for the bed. The bed liner that I painted on the inside, like I said, that's from a gallon that I bought 2 gallons at a swap meet for 50 bucks, so $25 a gallon. Used a little bit of it. The original stuff, that stuff new, is like $80. So I put the value of 20 at a cost. I put 9 bucks. I'm basically splitting it up over the build. I haven't even used half the gallon yet, and it's still going strong. And then lastly, hardware. Now I know they sell kits to assemble these beds, but they were never complete when I looked. Like they would have maybe all the bolts for the strips, but not the mounting bolts to go into the frame. And my problem was I was using these divider strips that really were not for this truck. So I knew I was going to have to drill some holes, and holes might have been in different places. So if I bought a kit, it may not have really had all I needed. I just bought a box of 100 of everything. I bought fender washers, regular flat washers, lock washers, and also originally these trucks I think only used 1/4 inch bolts. So I upsized to 5/16. So it's much stronger. And anyway, I would rather have enough, or say more than enough hardware than not enough. And let me tell you, I used just about all of it. And I put a cost, now what it is, it's a real cost. Just the hardware I used to assemble the bed was about $65. Then I went back and bought a box of the screws that I'm using to hold this down, the button heads. And I bought some extra longer carriage bolts that are holding down the battery box and such. And in the end, I ended up about $85 just in hardware. So total on this, to get this bed on the truck and assembled, value $260, out of pocket $169. So where we are right now, adding in I call it the bed assembly, adding that $260 into the truck value, that brings the truck value to $7,929. The $169 out of pocket brings the out of pocket cost $4,144. So we're getting close, only about $856 left in the budget to finish the truck. We're going to be tight. We're going to be close. It's almost there. I mean, it really almost is, but there's always, it just seems like there's always these little things that pop up at the end. But that's that. Like one thing that just popped up. These, the chains that are holding this tailgate right here, I'm actually taking my life in my hands, because one of them's good. One of them broke right in half. It's just old and rusty. So I'm going to have to put new chain on here. I'm just going to go to Home Depot and get some chain and make it work. I hate to put a nice shiny chain on my beautiful patina truck, but maybe I'll spray some paint on it and make it match. All right, so that's going to be it for this one. I think it was a lot of fun. Came out cool. I like it. I don't know if you like it, but I like it. So that's cool. Let me know what you think about it. Does it look silly? Do you like it? It's done, so it doesn't matter anymore. Oh, well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following along, and thank you very much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I check and I get new subscribers. It's just very motivational to make the videos and get the stuff done. So again, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. We will see you on the next one. I don't know what's going to be the next one. probably taillights. We're getting down to the end here. I mean, the truck's registered and on the road, so won't be long till the first test drive. Just got to get that snow to melt. Anyway, see you on the next one. Later.